What's up, my beautiful people? Welcome back to See It Through My Eyes. I'm Richie, here flying solo for today, doing a reaction video that I hope you guys find it interesting.
Well, I've got some issues going on, and I think that they need to really be addressed because this is really stealing my life, and it's really stealing my hopes for the future. And I think if this problem isn't addressed with me, I really think I'm going to have a hard time making it through adult life and trying to become a man because,
How old are you?
the way I'm going. Oh, I just turned 18 about a month ago.
Do me a huge favor.
Yes.
Take a deeper breath as humanly possible. The biggest breath you can fill in your lungs, and hold it for 5 seconds. A count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Blow it out as hard as you can. Okay? Now, thank you for being brave and for saying stuff out loud that you've probably never said out loud before.
Never.
What you've just done is hard. Okay? And you're going to feel particularly vulnerable and particularly exposed, as though you were buck naked. You just threw the windows open in front of a huge group of people. Okay. I want you to sit in that discomfort for a second, because you're also going to find that's where the healing starts. Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, your mom ran a pretty tight ship, didn't she?
Yeah.
And you were a trophy, correct?
Correct.
And she shined the trophy up to make sure everybody in her world could see how shiny you were, right?
Correct.
And she protected you from yourself because you weren't to be trusted, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you were set off on that adventure because you were a kid, and you, instead of being taught how to trust yourself and that you were lovely and worth being loved and that what you felt and thought mattered, you were told you're gross, you have issues that only I can solve for you. And suddenly what emerged from that soil that she created for you is a guy that doesn't like himself, and that looks at every other person who interacts with him as you've created stories and put them in other people's heads and actions, that they are acting towards you in a certain way because they're having fun at your expense. That's how little you think of yourself. Fair?
Correct. I'd say that's true.
Joseph, you don't suck. You're not a loser.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. So, like I said earlier, I wasn't going to be reacting to the entire video on this, on my video. So please check out the entire video on the original channel. Like I said, I think it's conversations that we need to have as a society. We have these conversations when it comes to feminism, and I think it's great. However, I feel that the same thing should start happening for us men as well. Because as much as this finger pointing and blaming men and all that, I think both conversations can be had where we can criticize, debate, and argue the things about masculinity and femininity, and feminism. I mean that needs to be improved. I think that these are some of the points that needs to be made. I want to start from the last point to get to the beginning of that segment that I showed. So he mentioned about how his mom was basically overprotective, overbearing, but at the same time made him feel like he wasn't good enough or he was worthless. Now, my parents might have never had the best of marriages, but I never was told that I was never good enough or anything like that. However, because of my disability, they did try to shelter me, especially when I was younger. Once I got to high school, it was harder for them to shelter me because I went to a high school that was far from my home. However, they did still try to kind of 17, 18 years old, like, oh, you can't go out And at that point, I was just a rebel. I was also just, like, no, I've proven it multiple times that I'm able to go out, and I would, I had my group of friends, I had girlfriends, all that good stuff. Um, but that sense of like their insecurities being put into me, till this day, I'm still trying to work through. Um, because there are moments where, I'm like, I didn't learn that, you know. Um, so I can kind of understand where he's coming from when it comes to that, and it's fucked up, because it's his situation is not it's not the only situation like where parents put that insecurity or they just destroy your self esteem, and then you become impulsive, and then you become this person with low self esteem, that's been hurt, that's been traumatized, that's been isolated, and you can't connect to women or men or whoever you're into. You can't make friends, you're stuck at home, or whatever it is. And we all need to socialize. We all want friendships, or at least the majority of us want friendships. And it's pretty sad that situations like this happen. I my feedback. I'm so this is what made me, because this was actually the first video I checked out of Dr. John. This is what made me subscribe to his channel. The fact that not only he has his degree or whatever, that's great and all, but showing compassion. Because the fact that this guy is calling in and he's sharing all this instead of attacking him or attacking the parents or whatever, he approached the situation with open mindedness and compassion. And a lot of the time, people who are struggling with mental health, that's the thing that we need. That's to know that we're not going to be judged or criticized, or like there's people that actually care. Like that's all sometimes we need. And you can hear it in his voice. Like it's almost like a huge relief the minute that he feels like he's being heard, he's being taken serious, he's not being judged, and compassion is being shown, and he's being told, you don't suck, your life matters. Because it becomes just a distorted reality in our minds when we start believing what other people either have told us or what we have interpreted. Because a lot of the time, what we do, we put our own interpretations into what other people think about us, and it might not always be. It might have been because we were traumatized or we were scarred or whatever, um, at our early age because of one uncomfortable or ugly situation. And I like the fact that Dr. John tells Joseph, the guy that calling in, that he's like, it's gonna be uncomfortable, but that's where the healing happens. Like you have to sit there in that uncomfortability, and a lot of the time in impulsive, addictive behaviors and mindsets, what happens when you do come up to that feeling, whether it's a trauma, whether it's whatever it is, the root cause of the addiction or the problem with your mental health, it feels uncomfortable. You're hurting, so you try to find the easiest solution, that instant gratification, that instant relief, you know, and whether it's bouncing from one relationship to another, or self harm, or porn addiction, which is basically self harm also, or drugs or alcohol, you suppress whatever you're feeling for a moment, and, in these type of situations, you're physically causing harm to yourself, not only mentally and emotionally, but also physically. And not to get all preachy or anything like that, but also spiritually. So that's all for the video that I really wanted to share. I'm going to be touching on more topics like this, especially around mental health in regards to men, because I feel this is a conversation we need to start having more. And a lot of guys out there who are misled, young dudes my age, dudes maybe older, that might be misguided or just feeling lost, and turn to people who they shouldn't be out here, trying to lead anything, because all they're doing is spreading hate, and that's not the way you're gonna heal. As corny as it sounds, hate does not help you. If anything, it makes things worse. You know, you can point fingers at everybody else, or you could dwell and blame yourself, but that's never gonna fucking fix shit. All it's gonna do is just push the ball further down the road. But the problem is always gonna be there within you. So there is a sense of having to take self accountability at some point in our lives as men. You know, realize that there was things in our past that was done to us that we had no control over, and we have no fault in, but we have responsibility of healing and taking responsibility of trying to change our mindsets of healing. Like I said, taking back control. You know, like I started at the beginning of this video, no one is responsible for your happiness. No one's responsible for your healing. No one's responsible for any of that. Because the minute that you give somebody else that responsibility that isn't you, you're at their mercy. If they leave, then what happens to you? Literally right back to square one, if not worse. Take it from somebody that was in that place, that was bouncing from one relationship to another instead of trying to heal. And you're going to have people criticizing and talking shit and being on their little high horse. Those are not the people you want to turn to in your lowest of points. You don't need to be kicked while you're low already, while you're down. You don't need to be made feel like you're already like you're a piece of shit when you already feel worse about yourself. You don't need that. You know, we can't keep ignoring these things. Another thing that he brought up at the beginning of the video, um, his therapist basically was enabling this behavior, you know. And I've worked with therapists before. Like I said, my background's also in social work, so I've learned, you know, in these type of addictive behaviors, you can't just cut yourself off cold turkey, you know, because you're gonna relapse and relapse pretty hard. It is a moderate, you know, change. Little by little, you have to start decreasing. If you know whoever is listening, if this, you know, resonates with you, understand that giving this up is going to take time. You know, so take it little by little. If you're whatever your addiction is, if you identify with the guy, if you do have a porn addiction or a sex addiction, little by little you have to decrease it. You know, watch little by little, less by less, and I think therapy is the number one thing that you need. You know, and if you can find it, support. I hope to build that type of community on this channel. So please, if you're gonna share anything in the comment section, keep it respectfully, because this is not an area where I want people to come and start judging and talking shit and all that. I will block you or I will kick you out. You know, I want to help people heal. I want to help people change. Not for there be a cesspool of people just bitching and moaning and putting blames on other people. No, we got to take control of who we are. We got to take control of our futures, of our paths, of our fucking minds. So hopefully this helps. If anyone finds themselves in this type of situations, I'm sorry that you're going through that, but know that you're not alone and know that there is hope. It might be dark, it might be a long path, it might not be easy, but trust me, it'll be worth it. I'm a work in progress. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just speaking because I got a degree, or I'm speaking because I never gone through it and I'm trying to preach to you what you should and shouldn't do. No. Life isn't that easy. It's not so black and white. And if you find yourself going through any type of addiction, any type of mental health, if you have, or you're just struggling with your self esteem, no matter what age, what, you know, background you find yourself in, know that there is hope. But in order to get to that hope, there's a lot of work to be done. You can't give up, and you can't take the easy way out. And I'm not just talking about, you know, checking out of life, because I also been there. But I'm also talking about falling to, you know, that instant gratification and those vices that we use, whether it's women, whether it's friendships, toxic relationships, whether it's self-harm, whether it's alcohol or drugs, whatever it is, porn. Those are, you gotta value yourself, man. You gotta find that value within yourself. For whoever is listening, find that self-worth and then you have to start looking at what things you're thinking of, what things you're saying to yourself, what things you're doing, who you're turning to, who you're around, and how exactly are they helping you grow. Just be you got the end point is getting to being happy. So with my ramble out of the way, like I said, hopefully this helps anybody. If you guys ever need to talk to someone, I, you know, share it in the comment section. Like I said, respectfully, I'll try. We could maybe DM privately. I'm trying with everything that I've been through, all my experiences. I'm being as vulnerable as I can because I want to be able to help people. I don't want to preach like I'm something better or I know better than others, because I don't. And I'm working in progress. I'm in my journey. I'm still healing. I'm recovering. I'm growing. I'm maturing. I'm learning. So I'm trying to help also. So hopefully that helps, guys. Please tune in to check out our other videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, go check out the original video of the main channel, and check out my second channel also. If you're interested in anything culture related, please go support me. Countries A to Z. That's C space A/Z the slash Ricky. Yeah, we'll also include it in our channel. That's my second channel where I do country videos and just talk about culture, just for a little bit more lightheartedness. But we will be uploading more videos, so please stay tuned for that and check them out. If you haven't subscribed, please support us in growing, as our mission is to spread more mental health awareness and try to provide any type of help that we can in helping heal this pandemic that is, just mental health problem. So stay strong, people. Know that you're not alone. Know that there is hope. And if I was able to do it, you can. So share, like, subscribe. I'll see you guys next week. Or next time, I mean. I'm Richie from See It Through My Eyes. Here on YouTube, See It Through My Eyes podcast. On TikTok, See It Through My Eyes. Take care.